For much of my life, I have participated in a number of different martial arts, most recently Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And one thing that I find is that the connection between martial arts and sales is just so strong. There are so many takeaways from martial arts that also apply to sales. So in this video, I'm going to show you the martial arts approach to closing sales. Check it out. Your prospect is the best training partner. In martial arts, a great training partner is everything, right? That's the difference between you getting good or getting great. Having that excellent training partner is going to change everything for you. And there is no better training partner in sales than your prospect. Obviously, you want to work out role plays with other people that you know in safer spaces, but ultimately, your prospect is the best training partner. And think of your prospect as a training partner. So this is someone who is also playing the game. They are maneuvering, they are going back and forth, they're doing things, and you are going to be reacting to them, and you are going to be learning from them each time. So every time you have a sale, you don't get a sale, whatever happens, you learn something from every single interaction as if they are your training partner. Replace force with skill. So this is something that is really, really important in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So often when someone's brand new, they come in and they just want to use force. They're just grunting, they're breathing heavily, they're just doing everything, like forcing it. And as you start to get better at really any martial art, you start to replace that force with skill. It gets ultimately where you can, as someone who is a much smaller individual, you can completely disarm someone who's much bigger and is untrained because you have the skill to replace that force with the skill that you have. And the same is true in sales. We want to replace force with our skill. So constantly working on your game to get better at the skill, so that way you can kind of try less in each individual selling situation. You're focused specifically on the skill as opposed to just kind of like muscling it out, which your prospect is going to immediately sense and is going to feel uncomfortable with. Let their energy lead where you want to go. So traditional selling is all about trying to kind of dominate your way through a selling situation where you're pitching, you're persuading, you then get into an arm wrestling match, overcoming objections. It's very similar to like a bar fight where you're trying to push them in a certain direction. Yet a great martial artist knows that they can let the opponent's energy lead where they want to go. So if the opponent is pushing you, let them push and take them where you want to go. The same is true in great sales. When the prospect is going in a certain direction, don't push back. Don't be like two bulls coming head to head, but instead let their energy just simply go where you want to take them. If the prospect pushes back with a particular objection, instead of just trying to convince them as to why that objection isn't good, instead embrace that objection, dig into it, understand where it's going, and go in the direction you want. Think many steps ahead. So a great martial artist can think a number of steps ahead. So that way they are not concerned about what their opponent is doing. They know a couple of steps which way they're going to go. And it may depend on what the opponent is doing, and then that's going to lead to a different place, but they can always think multiple steps ahead. Whereas someone who is untrained is just in the moment, is just doing whatever they're doing. The same exact thing is true in sales. A great salesperson, because they have a process in place, already knows a number of steps ahead. They know where they're going. Now, the prospect may take them in a different direction, but ultimately they know where it's going. Whereas the untrained salesperson, the kind of the basic beginner is really just in the moment, just thinking, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do here? How will I handle that? Versus recognizing that they can get many steps ahead. Now, this can take a little time to get to. You need the process. You need to have practiced it many times. But the more you can get to that place of thinking a number of steps ahead, the more successful you'll ultimately be. Understand the likely outcomes. So in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you've ever grappled with a high-level grappler, you're going to understand that no matter what you do, they have a response that is going to put you in a compromising situation. So if you push, they know how to use that energy from pushing. If you pull, they're going to use that as well. If you reach and overextend, they can handle that. There are only a certain set of likely outcomes that are going to happen when you're in some kind of a tussle. The same thing is true in sales. Human beings behave in very predictable ways when they're presented with a certain stimulus. So your prospects are likely to respond in just a couple of certain ways that you can pretty easily predict. Now, you don't know which one they're going to do, but when you understand the likely suite of outcomes, you can then be prepared for whatever is coming your way. This is high-level sales. Just like high-level martial arts understands that humans only respond in a couple of ways to a particular situation. They can push, they can pull, they can kind of roll, right? There's only certain things they can do. Same thing is true in sales. So understanding those likely outcomes will ultimately get you to really having control over the situation, no matter what the prospect does. Intentional training leads to long-term success. We must have a process in place to continually train ourselves in developing our craft. Whether you're a martial artist who wants to get better as a martial artist, you must intentionally train in order to get long-term success. That's literally the entire concept of martial arts, is that you can train in a highly intentional way that allows you to handle someone who is much bigger, much stronger than yourself because you have that intentional training process. The same exact thing is true for sales. If you have an intentional process for training, for improving, for getting better, that's how we get better. You may not be outstanding today, but if you have that intentional training process, over the long term, you are going to get success. And that's why we have a community in the first place of people that are working on getting better time after time. Have that intentional training process in place in order to get to where you want to go. The best athletes often don't become the best martial artists. If you have ever been to any martial arts academy, what you will find is that the people who are black belts, the best martial artists, often weren't the best athletes when they were in elementary school or in high school. They just worked at it and got so good that they suddenly became the best martial artist. And the same exact thing is true in sales. Just because you are not the best sales athlete today doesn't mean you can't become the best salesperson out there. In fact, oftentimes just having a great personality and charisma can often lead to having a pretty sloppy sales process. Same thing with martial arts. Just because you're the best athlete, oftentimes that kind of covers up the fact that you don't have to compensate with great skill and great martial arts. So what we want to do as salespeople is don't worry about whether you've got the best personality, you're the funniest person, you have the most charisma. Instead, focus on the skill, the process to becoming the best salesperson out there. That's how you get great. Not by being born with a certain set of traits that's going to make you the best. Not worrying about the traits that you have right now, but instead, what do you have to develop in order to become the best salesperson that you possibly can be? So there is the martial arts approach to closing sales. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an amazing free training on the step-by-step formula to closing more deals. Just click right here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here. This is an in-depth training that will help you close more deals at higher prices, all while generating more meetings. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking my face, which should be right about here, to get access to a new video just like this one each week.